And then closer to home too, we also have families who are in turmoil and in trouble as well. Tragedy that hits a family or one person. I want to assure you that the Salvation Army remains committed to working alongside Australians, one life at a time, so that we can give them the assistance that they need to have. And we do that in small ways that can make a big difference, like a voucher, helping them with some food, helping them get a box of groceries through a tough week. But sometimes that journey is a bit of a longer journey. And sometimes we have to work with people for a week, for a month, even for years. And as we support them through counselling and accommodation, advocacy and emotional support to help them gain confidence so they can re-engage with their community again. So regardless of whether we're working with someone for a day, or for a week, or for a year, I want to assure you that the Salvation Army is ready and always wanting to journey with folk. And we do this with your support. And I want you to understand that tonight. The Salvation Army can do great work, a bit biased there, but we can. But we do so with the tremendous support of the community, and we say thank you for that. This year we're calling all Australians to come together for the Red Shield Appeal, and our rallying cry is, let's ensure no one is left behind. It's a bold statement, isn't it? But one that we believe in. Let's ensure that as we are working with people, that we leave no one behind, that we take them with us in this journey of recovery. And again, I want to emphasise that it's because of the generosity of you that we are able to do what we can do. So last year, through the Salvation Army's Red Shield Appeal, we were able to provide support and care to almost 1.9 million separate occasions. So that's a million people, but 1.9 times we were able to assist folk with help, again because of the generosity of yourselves. So for people experiencing a crisis, it often can feel for them that there's no way out. The bills are getting higher and higher. There's the dangers of living homelessly on the streets. It's hard for people to see the way through. Open doors through our Salvation Army centres, to have arms that are extended wide open so they can welcome and we can greet people. We hope we do so with a smile on our face to say, yes, you're welcome. We want to be here to support you. And we want people in crisis to be able to find hope when they come to the Salvation Army. This event tonight is particularly exciting. And my notes, I think, are wrong because I'm told here that this is the first multicultural launch for the Red Shield Appeal in Victoria, but I understand it's for Australia. Is that right? It is. So congratulations for the world. Oh, right, let's go big. Okay. And it's a great reflection that we work as a community. We do things together. And again, thank you for your wonderful support. I'm also aware that many folk have already been supporting the work of the Salvation Army, and particularly before I mention the bushfires and the floods that we've had. And later on this evening we'll be presenting certificates, and about 80% of the folk that are getting certificates will already have raised about $450,000 to support the Salvation Army in the floods, in the bushfires. Now those bushfires, 2020, we remember them well, don't we? The Salvation Army is still working with lots of those families. Some of them are still having homes rebuilt. Some of them are emotionally scarred. We still have caseworkers, chaplains on the field supporting them. For those who've experienced drought, we're still there working with them. So the Salvation Army again says thank you for your great support. Of course, can't be up here and not mention the word COVID, can I? And again, that's had a tremendous impact on our community. In fact, it's often referred to as the shadow pandemic. Family and domestic violence is on the rise here in Victoria and throughout Australia. It's escalating as I speak to you, and at the moment we estimate that 1 in 4 women in Australia will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and many have to face the very difficult decisions of what to do just about that. So this year's Red Shield Appeal is focusing on families and domestic violence, and we'll be telling some of those stories during the course of the appeal. But last year alone, the Salvation Army, as we supported families, mums, children in need, more than 63,000 times we gave support to those families. That's more than 7 people in every hour. So there's tremendous need still, sadly, in our community. Again, I say thank you for the wonderful support that you've given, supporting us with floods, droughts, but also enabling us to assist those in our local community as well. And tonight we're going to be inviting you to continue the partnership with us, to you as part of us really, to help us, empower us to be able to go out and do our work. And later on this evening there'll be an opportunity for you to make a gift, and we want to say thank you for your generous gifts as well. I do want to say one thing though in closing. The Salvation Army never ever takes its supporters for granted. I want you to hear me there. I'm trying to look at you in the eye, and I want to say a very, very sincere thank you for your great support, because without it we just wouldn't be able to do our job. So thank you for your tremendous support to us that enables us to work and journey with people to ensure no one's left behind. God bless you all.
Thank you, Colonel Kelvin Merritt. 救世军在2020年为丛林大火的灾民共筹的40万元，在2022年至今已经为这个洪水受影响的灾民筹的3万5千元，当中80%的捐款是由今天晚上接受证书的嘉宾捐出，非常感謝大家嘅支持。我哋救世軍呢喺2020年呢已經為叢林大火受影響嘅災民呢籌得40萬元。而家喺2022年到今日呢，我哋已經呢為呢個受洪水影響嘅災民籌得3萬5千蚊，其中80%嘅捐款呢係由今日晚上面將會接受呢個證書嘅嘉賓去。
And pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and especially any and all First Nations people who are here today. Distinguished guests who I haven't named, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fantastic occasion and a perfect gathering for us to consider the 4 letters that are in front of us today. Hope. I'm delighted to join with you tonight on behalf of the Minister for Multicultural Affairs, the Honourable Ross Spence, who couldn't be here tonight, but sends her warmest wishes for a wonderful evening. And I'd also like to thank Colonel Merritt and the Salvation Army for organising tonight's event and hosting us this evening, but also for hosting the Red Shield Appeal for the last 56 years. That's 4 years longer than I've been here. So it has always been a staple yearly event for as long as I can remember. It is one of those things like the Good Friday Appeal, like Christmas, like Easter, like Diwali, like Lunar New Year. It is a part of our calendar as Victorians and Australians. And over the past 2 years, Victorians have experienced many difficulties. Also achievements, but we have navigated our way through the pandemic together. The pandemic has made maintaining our mental and physical health more challenging, as we all know. But we've seen through that community coming together, and us as Victorians and Australians coming together, and that has shown the best of us. It is sometimes in the hardest of times where we see the best of us, and I think we've seen that. Neighbours making sure elderly neighbours in their streets had toilet paper. I mean, who would have thought toilet paper would have been a commodity that was scarce? but people bound together. It's during these times that we also see organisations like the Salvation Army and Victorian community members, cultural community groups, standing up to support one another and demonstrate what a caring society we are. It also contributes to our great state more widely and creates stronger and more inclusive Victoria. And over those last 2 years, we have seen these organisations and community groups deliver incredible support. So on behalf of the Victorian Government, I want to acknowledge this remarkable work in supporting our community members. We would not be as strong without it. All Victorians have made sacrifices over the last 2 years during restrictions because we cared for a community as a whole, because we looked after those who maybe couldn't look after themselves or who were more vulnerable, who all had less. This is the mark of a strong society, of a kind society and a compassionate society. And it's only possible through all of us working together and having those values of compassion and empathy ahead in our priorities. If we're looking for a silver lining of the hardships of the pandemic, it is compassion. Not that we didn't have it before, we're the same people, but the fact that it is so much on show. And that it should remind us of, through times of adversity and trial, that we do bound together. The Salvation Army, I'm told, if I get my dates right, has been with us for 142 years, starting in South Australia, and 140 years in Victoria. Now, I'll go on a little tangent here, and I've lost my notes, so this will probably come back, but anyway. My grandfather wasn't an overly religious man, and by that I mean he wasn't religious at all. But one thing he always had time for, one group he always had time for, was the Salvos. Salvation Army and so many of our multicultural groups that band together are there, as they have been for so many years, and will continue to be there, to offer that necessary support and service. The impact of the funds raised through the Red Shield appeal cannot be underestimated. The Salvation Army is an organisation that brings critical and essential support to our community and ensures our community members have hope and optimism for a better tomorrow. Now, Uncle Shane said one thing in his fantastic welcome to country, and thank you, Unkie. If you learn something, share it. I hope what we learn tonight is that we are all in this together still. And there is hope. And together we will make it easier and we will make it better. So on behalf of the Victorian Government, I'd like to thank everyone here tonight for your exceptional contribution for supporting the Victorian community. And particularly thanks to the Salvos for your ongoing dedication and commitment. I look forward to speaking with more of you tonight. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have the member for Chisholm. So Gladys Liu, give her a
very kind invitation from the Colonel Kelvin and also Major Warren Elliott. Are you in the room? And I also want to thank Leanne. Leanne, you have done a magnificent job organising tonight. Well done. So tonight, so I won't acknowledge all the distinguished guests here tonight because there are many of you, but I just want to say that it's great to be here at Salvation Army. Every time when I come here, I feel like coming home. Yes, tonight I am the federal member for Chisholm, but my relationship with Salvation Army started many, many years ago. I still remember shaking the tins at the intersections and doing fundraising events with some of you sitting in the audience like Tom, many years ago with Saba, with Enrichment, with so many other Asian organizations. And also recently, in 2017, with Wilken Fong, you organized a fundraising event and you asked me to be the auctioneer, and we were able to raise more than $62,000 that evening. So I feel part of this organization, and I every day see all the volunteers wearing your apron, helping raising funds and helping doing things. Is just so good. Because I tell you my upbringing, I was actually born and raised in public housing. So I know what it means when someone is in need. And Salvation Army wants to make sure we help all those in need. So this is a very, very good cause. And tonight, we are able to get many people coming from the multicultural background. And of course, why not? Australia is a multicultural country. So everyone in this country, we do our bit to help those in need. So I feel very proud to be part of this Salvation Army family. And one day, I probably will pick up my trombone and sit there and play with you guys. So, if you please allow me to say just a few words in Mandarin and Cantonese. 今天我非常的荣幸可以来到这里跟大家来做这个Red Shield Appeal 的 launch。其实我跟 Salvation Army 的关系呢是很长远了，超过20年了。我还记得当年我们的 Tom 就很早就已经把我拉进来帮忙，还有这个 Wilton 最近也找我来帮忙。其实不管我是联邦议员的身份，还是其他的身份，我觉得我可以帮的，我都会帮。所以在 Salvation Army 来说，我觉得我自己呢就是这个大家庭的一份子。所以今天也非常开心看到很多老朋友可以还是继续的来參加支持救世軍。好啦，我講幾句廣東話嚇，咁咧我就唔講咁多啦。咁好開心啦，喺度見到咁多朋友，特別咧係講廣東話嘅，可能係香港嚟嘅朋友。咁我自己都係香港嚟嘅。咁雖然我依家係當選咗聯邦國會議員，但係其實身份唔重要，係你個心咯。如果你個心係要幫人嘅話，咁你無論係乜嘢身份都可以幫人。咁 Salvation Army 咧就係一個最好嘅一個團體，大家可以集合呢個力量，可以一齊嚟幫嘅。所以我好開心今晚可以再嚟到呢度同大家見面。咁希望大家都可以有錢出錢，有力出力。So once again, thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you. Can I also add my acknowledgement to Chisholonians land, the Wurundjeri people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and also to acknowledge their ongoing connection to the land and waterways. Sometimes I think as politicians when we stand up here and give a welcome to country, it sounds a bit flippant, like we're just rolling words off our tongues. So I wanted to highlight our acknowledgement of country, and I think if we just look back what the Western civilisation has done in Australia in the last 100 years, 100 years ago we didn't have cars, 100 years ago we didn't have sewage, and we can only need to look at the Industrial Revolution of the last 50 or 60 years to see the devastation that Western civilisation has caused in our country through climate change. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people have been here for some 60,000 years. So if you put that in comparison, it's an amazing contribution to this country, and we thank them for everything that they have done and continue to do in this country. Can I also acknowledge Colonel Kevin Merritt, who spoke quite well earlier, and I think he touched on a point which is close to my heart, which is that 1 in 4 women are assaulted by physical violence. To further that statistic, amazingly, one woman dies every week in Victoria at the hands of a partner or a former partner, and an amazing 85% of women are sexually assaulted at some stage in their life. Now, those statistics are simply abhorrent, and we can and must do more. And I'll thank the Victorian Government for their commitment to highlighting some of these issues and to addressing those issues as well. Can I acknowledge Gladys Liu, the federal member for Chisholm, also Jim Ameti, the mayor for Dandenong, my good colleague and good friend, Councillor Nikki Law from Nick and Waverley, Kim sorry, I can never pronounce your name right and do apologise. It's good to see you here though. My good friend Matt Freegan, the State MP for Mount Waverley, and my good friend Sean Lean too, I haven't seen since before the COVID pandemic, so thank you for coming along tonight. No one came here to hear politicians speak, and I'm aware that there's a couple more to come as well, but I wanted to acknowledge the fantastic Salvation Army and the work that they've done over many years. And as Matt touched on earlier, I too am one of those people in my family that know when I put $1 in a Red Shield appeal, it's going to a right place. It's 56 years, it was a fantastic contribution to this country, and working across particularly multicultural communities, and they're well represented here tonight. And good to see you, sir, in your fantastic dress up the front as well. I think over the last 2 years of the pandemic, we've seen how crucial it is to have multicultural leaders who can tap into their communities and to spread the word, and we found that no more so than the COVID pandemic, particularly in the early days when those spreading around Victoria, and we saw the biggest spreads out in the western suburbs where there were those multicultural communities that had problems understanding language. So it's been very, very important that all of you have done your part to help us through the pandemic as well. Council works closely with our local community, and we know there remains a need for your important work. Congratulations to everything you've done today and will continue to do over many, many years. And I think that those standing here in the Salvation Army are very much just keepers of the purse. And I think that this very important, this organisation keeps going, and it's through the generous support of everyone in this room that it's able to do so. So thank you once again for your amazing work, and thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you so much, Stuart. And finally, we've got from the City of Greater Dandenong, Major Jim Ameti. Give him a warm round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. I also firstly would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present and emerging. I'd also like to acknowledge Colonel Calvin Merritt, to the many other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Being the Mayor of Greater Dandenong in Monash, the Mayor Stuart James, it's great to be here. As I look around this room, I see many people from the City of Greater Dandenong, the most multicultural city in Australia, where we have over 158 different nationalities, we speak over 200 languages, and we follow over 100 different faiths. The City of Greater Dandenong is one of the most disadvantaged LGAs. The Salvation Army are very important not only to my community, but all communities throughout Victoria and Australia. I'm very happy, just in last year I think it was, Calvin, that we turned the sod in Greater Dandenong to have a brand new facility, the Salvation Army, and hopefully it'll be open in September, because we're not going to be here in October, Calvin. You said you're going on holiday, so hopefully we can open it up in September. Hopefully this event can be in Dandenong in 2023, and we had this event last time I was in Springvale in 2020. It was a fantastic event and plenty of funds were raised. I'd just like to make sure that I do tell everybody in my community, so I ask you to tell everybody in your community to make sure that we're aware of the Salvation Army and the good work they do, and we need to give them full support. Thank you for inviting me this evening. I wish you all best for 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Next up, we'd like to invite back Major Warren Elliott, the Salvation Army Public Relations Secretary, up onto the stage to introduce the service provided by the Salvation Army here.
接下来我們會邀請救世軍公共關係秘書 Major Warren Elliott 介紹救世軍嘅服務。咁跟住落嚟呢，我哋就邀請到我哋救世軍公共關係秘書 Major Warren Elliott 為我哋介紹救世軍嘅服務。
Very Australian group. So anyone from mainland China? Yes. A few. From Taiwan? A few. Cambodia? Oh. Vietnam? Excellent. India? A few, yes. Excellent. Hong Kong? They've been shouting around where else are you South Africa. Egypt. Mongolia. Anywhere else? Scotland? Anyone from Scotland? Singapore. Have we missed anyone? Oh, there's a few more, yeah. South Sudan. Indonesia. And you know that's always the danger, isn't it, when you start naming Burma. Burma. Well, it's exciting to see you all here tonight, and we again just want to welcome you all. Thank you to our official speakers for your greetings tonight. What we want to do now for the next few minutes is just tell you a little bit about the work that the Salvation Army is doing across Melbourne in our multicultural communities. So I'm going to invite Major Nancy Chuang, Sunny Choi, Captain Mira Manika, Major Karen Elkington, Major Brendan Noddle, Captain Fleur Hodge to come up and join me on the platform here. So these people are just a representative group of some of the work of the Salvation Army here in Melbourne. And you will find stalls that they have out the back. So when we finish our official service tonight, you're very welcome to go and chat with each of them, or all of them, or any of them, a little bit further about the work that might you find a little interesting that we talk about tonight. So we're going to start with you, Nancy. Tell us a little bit about, you're from Waverley Court, so this is your home. Tell us a little bit about what happens here in Waverley.
Okay, I would like to introduce some program, and everyone can see behind me the screen. They will tell you what we're doing in here, and all the program all including a multicultural in here, and especially in here we provide Chinese fellowship group and the Chinese positive lifestyle program team to help and support the Chinese community in Melbourne and also even in China and the other countries. We have many amazing stories happen in here, but tonight I cannot tell you. And many people told me, they say, Nancy, positive lifestyle program is really helping me. And I wish my family or my friend, they can be helped, but they are in the other countries. So we think, how can we help them? And thanks God, last 2 years we have COVID-19. Then we find we can have a room meeting to continue to help these people. So now we use the room and the WeChat to help Chinese, not in Melbourne only, also in mainland China, Singapore, or even in American. So I would like to encourage you, if you have friends or you have family, not only in here or in the other overseas, you can provide them. We have a great program, positive lifestyle program. In this team, we have people speak Mandarin, Cantonese, we can understand 潮州话, Hogganese, 潮州话, yeah, I know some people 潮州话, all in here. So, and also tonight I would like to thank you for people, and in 2017, some of you help us to raise big money to support our Salvation Army Positive Lifestyle Program. And I know some of you, they come tonight to support us. And I would like to say thank you for your great support here.
Good evening. 안녕하세요. 晚上好. I have
So as you see, I have some slides, but just giving some picture what is happening in the Book Salvation Army church. So my name is Sunny, and working at Book Salvation Army Church as intercultural pastor. And for the people who come to Melbourne to stay, to study, to work, to live, like myself, using English, not our own mother tongue, in everyday life is a huge challenge. So English for communication is a real need in the community for people from non-English speaking backgrounds. So far, hundreds of people from more than 17 countries have come and still coming to Book Salvation Army English classes. So what's the aim of these classes? It's very simple. To give regular opportunity to practice English conversation in a friendly, supportive, and Christian environment. Then who have come and still coming? So you can see there, moms of international students of primary school and secondary college. And then, elderly parents visiting their children and grandchildren. Also, working holiday visa holders and provisionally business visa holders and migrants. Then, many people have anxiety speaking in English. People need to build the confidence for English speaking. Then what about singing in English? Let's watch a video. Okay, now English class as an entry point to other programs and activities in Book Salvation Army, like Tuesday Children Music Program and Friday Youth Group. Many women from Afghanistan, Iran, and Egypt, they were so happy to find our crafts group. Also, there are people who want to try attending worship service in English with some support. So for these people, hard copies of translation of Sunday sermon into Korean and into Chinese are available. As you see from the slides, they are in 2 languages, English Korean, English Chinese. So a tip to tell Korean language from Chinese language, that is, Korean language has circles, but Chinese language has no circles. Okay? The last one. Recently, a Korean mom was connected to Book Salvation Army through school chaplain. Because of her limited English, she needed interpreting for her access to Salvation Army community service, known as doorways. As her case was very complicated, so the Salvation Army doorway caseworker had a few interviews with her, having me as her interpreter. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. Some amazing things happening at Box Hill. Now, Brendan Noddle. Many people know Brendan. He's pretty famous in Melbourne. You're the king of Moomba one year, weren't you? That's pretty exciting. So, if you don't know what Moomba is, that's where the Melbourne, everybody comes together for the festival at the start of the year. Brendan was the king of Moomba one year, so he's very well known in our community in Melbourne, mainly for work amongst homeless people. But that's not the only work that you do at Melbourne 614, which is right in the centre of Melbourne City. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing, particularly I think you want to talk about your work with the international students.
Yeah, great, thanks Warren. Great to be here tonight, and it's interesting when we hear that this is the first Red Shield multicultural event in the world, in the universe apparently. Yes, which is incredible. But it can actually make you think that multicultural ministry is new to the Salvation Army. It's actually not. Multicultural ministry has been at the very heart of the Salvation Army since the Salvation Army started. And in fact, back in the 1880s, the Salvation Army established a Chinese centre, a Chinese corps in Waterloo in New South Wales. They established another one in Inverell in New South Wales in 1888. They established a Salvation Army centre up in Bowen in Queensland for South Pacific Islanders, and the entire centre was full of South Pacific Islanders. Nobody else attended there. That's the Salvation Army's commitment to multicultural work. In 1898, the Salvation Army's leaders, the founders, the William and Catherine Booth, their son Herbert and his wife Cornelia Booth, and Little Burke Street in the city in 1898 established a Chinese school at a Salvation Army building. So that's the Salvation Army's heart. And we picked up on that in the work that we've been doing in the city, and we saw, particularly during COVID, a lot of international students were stuck in Melbourne. They couldn't go home because the borders were closed. They couldn't access work because the hospitality industry had shut down, and they were doing it really tough. So we set up a drop-in centre for them, and it operates Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night from 6 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Riyadh from Saudi Arabia runs that centre for us. He does a fantastic job with all of his volunteers. We've got Sen here tonight. One of the volunteers does a wonderful job from Myanmar. She's incredible. And they get together with lots of international students. They have a meal. It's a very nutritious meal. And then what they do is they make friends, because a lot of those international students are lonely and very isolated. And then they go to work with those international students and help them find work while they're here in Melbourne. And they also go to work to help them work through some of the issues that they're facing while they're here in Melbourne. So it might have something to do with migration law issues, might have something to do with perhaps gambling in some cases. And so we go to work helping those students make friends, eat well, and then have a really good experience while they're here in Melbourne before they return home. The other thing that we do here in Melbourne, or in the city of Melbourne, is Major Pearson, who's here tonight, does a wonderful job working with about 60 elderly Chinese that come to our centre every day. And Major Pearson does a fantastic job in setting up a Chinese church with them, and he provides some incredible support to all of those elderly Chinese who, again, are very lonely and very isolated. So it's a real privilege for us to be working with multicultural communities in the city of Melbourne, and we're really committed to doing that going forward.
Sure. Intercultural ministries is, as you know, there are two different words of multicultural and intercultural. Multicultural is where people from different cultures come together, where intercultural is creating a new culture with different diverse cultures. So our base is, we based at Thornbury. That's where we are working at the moment, but we do from all over the Victoria. Our community belong from every sorts of places. A lot of diverse communities. We particularly work with mainly ethnic backgrounds and people from asylum seekers, refugees, migrants, and so on. We can go on. So people come together, and we do a lot of celebration events with them. And we also do just not a relief aid or an emergency aid service with the community, but we also do a sustainable and long-term approaches with them, projects, such as we do participatory development approaches, and ABCD, some of you know, it's an asset-based community development, and out of that we have developed a project called Salvo Sketching, which helps women from migrant and other backgrounds. They can come and they learn cooking, they experience how to work in Australia, and they go out and they have their own sustainable way of livelihoods. So these are very small things I can share today, but there are many things we do, and there are a lot of projects in pipeline. Once the COVID eases, we wanted to get things going on. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Warren. So what he probably means is we're not attached to a church, but we do work in very closely with Salvation Army churches. So we are based in Brunswick, and we are helping people seeking asylum and people from refugee backgrounds with what we call emergency relief and material aid. What is that? It's help with, supermarket vouchers, furniture vouchers, clothing, toiletries, children's toys, basically a whole range of basic things that people need. Because many people seeking asylum don't actually have any income at the moment, and it's a very challenging space for them. So they come along and we provide them with what we help. So we cover the northern and western suburbs because unfortunately we don't have enough funding to do the whole of Melbourne or Victoria. And so we're supporting around about 600 households, and that's equates to 2,000 people that we're helping to provide food for and other basic and central supports. There's a photograph up there with the Employment Plus. So we're very delighted to have Employment Plus working on our site. They've got the Jobs Victoria contract, kindly supplied by the Victorian government. And so we're supporting people obviously with food and other things, but also when people have the right to work and they're job ready, we're referring them to Employment Plus who are on our site. And so we're supporting them, keeping them afloat with the basic essentials while Employment Plus the team work to help people to find some employment. And they're doing an absolutely fantastic job. We've got some social work support, some chaplaincy support to help people with their spiritual needs. So if you're ever in Brunswick, drop in, come and say hello. And we're the people at the back with all the fancy Australian person making Middle Eastern inspired tea. So those of you who are from that part of the world, you can come and test me and see if I'm a good tea maker.
Yes, I am the Core Officer Team Leader at Dandenong. Oh, the slides are up already. Maybe we just won't look at the slides just yet. Thank you. Yes, and as our Mayor said, we are the most multicultural municipality in Australia. We have residents born in over 150 countries. In the last 10 years, more than 7,000 refugees from over 70 different countries have settled in our area. These folk bring a lot of richness to our community. We love them. But of course, when you start in a new country, it brings a lot of challenges. And that, I guess, is where our vision kicks in, and Kelvin shared that earlier. Wherever there is hardship or injustice, Salvos will live, love and fight alongside others to transform Dandenong, Victoria, Australia, one life at a time with the love of Jesus. So I just wanted to share quickly a few of the things that we're doing to make that vision a reality. And some of the things are similar to what you've heard. I won't go through those things. Our doorway service has been open throughout COVID. We run Monday to Friday 9 to 3 where people can access food and vouchers when they need them, either by appointment or just by walking in if they can't make an appointment, as well as longer term holistic case management. And our caseworkers walk alongside people just to really make some of those real changes in people's lives. They also work towards identifying and solving the issues contributing to those long-term economic hardships, working hand in hand with our Money Care financial counselling, which is also on site to help people regain control over their finances. We have the same employment service that Karen mentioned for refugees, people are seeking asylum and those new to Australia with working rights. And we also partner with the Coach Network to provide mentoring that aims to empower individuals to break the poverty cycle and family breakdown that might have been happening in their lives for generations. We're currently looking for funding to continue that really important mentoring program. We're also collaborating with our state youth team to really look at the challenge of self-harming behaviours within the South Sudanese young people. That's a really, really challenging situation, but we're working together to make some inroads there. But the last program I wanted to tell you about is our Building Bridges program. And just before Christmas 2018, an anonymous donor walked into our Foster Street site and donated $500,000 to us to begin an alcohol and other drugs rehabilitation program in Dandenong. He'd struggled with addiction and the Salvos had helped him get over that addiction, and he really wanted to give back. And so he gifted us this money. And so our Building Bridges program began in June 2019. It's a 10-week day recovery program with group sessions that happen Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, as well as individual sessions on either the Tuesday or the Thursday. And all sessions operate within school hours so parents and caregivers can actually take part. I just wanted to share you the story of Chen. We've changed his identity to be able to share this story. But Chen, a Chinese Australian, was referred to our Building Bridges program through the court system. He had been through the courts after repeat drink driving offences. He'd lost his licence, and he'd been drinking heavily for about 20 years. This had caused his daughter to break off all contact with him, and so he'd never met his grandchildren before. And although Chen could speak English fluently, he couldn't read or write in English. And so that had really prevented him from finding a suitable program where he could really deal with his addiction. But because ours is a smaller program, which could give Chen the benefit of smaller group sizes and the opportunity for lots of one-on-one time, we were able to help Chen. And our staff were able to walk alongside him. He actually did the program twice because he really wanted to go back, so we had 20 weeks with Chen. But once he completed those 2 courses, the staff were able to assist him in getting his driver's licence back, but more importantly for Chen, his daughter is back in his life. And she trusts him to take his grandchildren out on outings now, so he knows his grandchildren. And these are the outcomes that make it all worth it. But that wouldn't have been an outcome if that man had not come in and donated that money to us so that we could start this important work in Dandenong. We're currently looking for funding for that program as well to tide us over until the end of June 2023. Lots more that I could tell you. Come and speak to me afterwards. But yeah, currently we are working from 3 different sites. We have a new building that our Mayor spoke about earlier as well. We're in James Street, Frawley Road and Doveton at the moment, and we're going to move into this new beautiful building hopefully in September. It's slated to be finished at the end of August, so we'll be able to have all of those things together in one place.
There we go, at the top. Oh, is it too far to run? Come and stand with us? Yeah, he's coming down. So I just wanted to introduce these 2 fantastic people who do a great job for the Salvation Army and just making those connections. Their job is about, yes, raising some funds for the amazing work that we've heard about tonight, but also just connecting into the various multicultural communities. So I just want to acknowledge Leanne. Thank you. You've done an amazing job getting tonight ready and inviting us. Most of you. Thank you for that. And Colonel Swin, you are working amongst the various communities you have been for many years. Do you want to just quickly tell us a little bit about what you're doing in that? Or have you got a sec? You've got 30 seconds. Quickly tell us what who you're visiting and what you're doing.
Well, I'm enjoying my work. I'm having a lot of coffees, a lot of talk, a lot of meals. Hallelujah. No, actually, my role is to go and connect with the communities, and especially with the diplomatic corps in Victoria, like the consulate and all the consul general and things like that. I work very closely with EMC. Thank you for their support. And I'm actually learning a lot from people from different community groups. So I hope one day I can learn more languages. How's that?
How many do you speak already?
American, New Zealand. And
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. And Leanne, do you want to say something?
I just want to say about my heritage. I'm from Hong Kong too, so I want to say a little bit Cantonese. 各位香港嘅朋友，多謝你哋今日嚟支持。I speak Cantonese, and I'm very honored to have Salvation Army work here as a multicultural community relationship manager. And I'm really happy to meet all these people because these people in the room become my friends. Not only they support Salvation Army, we are friends like a family. Just like Gladys said, we're a family, we know each other. Whenever anything happens, we just have a phone call. Everybody will come. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who have made a significant contribution to the Salvos. Each association has been extremely philanthropic in their work in supporting the bushfire appeal in 2020 as well as the flood appeal in 2022 as well as the general works of the Salvo. So I'll invite Colonel Kelvin Merritt up onto the stage again and we'll present the first lot of awards. So first up we've got a very VIP. We'll give a warm round of applause to Richard Lim OAM. So he's the owner of Lim's Pharmacy in Springvale. Second up, we've got Bruce Wong, who is the CEO of Foot Solutions. So please welcome Bruce Wong. Next up, we have Sea Youp Society, a temple in South Melbourne. So next up, we have Springvale Shopping Centre. Next up, we have Jeans West. Jeans West has more than 100 stores across the country. So just a representative from Jeans West. Next up, we have Boswin. Boswin is a perimeter security service company based in Melbourne. Next up, we have Vietnamese Evangelical Church based in Springvale South. And next up, we have Cambodian Buddhist Association, also based in Springvale South. Okay, so can we all maybe take a group photo with all of our guests? Would like to invite the guests to maybe stay on stage to share maybe a couple of words, maybe just a couple.
Tonight, everyone are our VIP guests. Why I say like that? Because we come together for one good reason, that is to help the unfortunate people that struggling to survive or suffering from natural disaster or from many other reasons. I am a refugee from Cambodia in 1980. Between 1975 to 1979, I went through Pol Pot regime. I was tortured, starved, forced into hard labor. When I arrived in Australia, I had nothing but had to working hard to support myself and my sibling by working full-time in the afternoon shift and went to school during the day and also went to farm on the weekend as well. I understand how difficult it is when we have no support. Therefore, I would like to, like everyone tonight, to give back to our community or have some sort of social responsibility to help people who are struggling to survive. You never know if you never go. That's our favorite slogan. Please donate generously. Please donate generously tonight. I would like also to thank to my community, my temple, my teams for their support over the last 40 years. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Venerable Sochie San would like to stand up and his follower. Yeah, Honorable, it worked very hard to help Cambodian community in Victoria, nationally and also internationally as well. And he preached people or he educate people about Buddhism and also how to look after themselves, especially during this COVID lockdown. And a lot of people have been through a lot of hard time, especially suicide as well. Thank you, the man. Tonight, because he raised a lot of money for our Salvation Army. Lim Pham Si and my team and I, and also the Venerable, we raised over $11,100 for tonight. Secondly, I would like to thank you to SK Media. He worked tirelessly to support me over many years to raise funds for Monash children, for Salvation Army, for Cambodia Vision, and so many more about our charity. And the next one is I would like to thank to Mr. Thon Thong that represent Temple. Yeah, what Buddha said that we always organize the charity over there more very frequently. Mr. Lee Pei Tai, that's a please stand up. And also he's very kind and former doctor and helped me a lot in health seminar. Recently he joined us, health seminar provide around the world and have about 1 million audience. And also Venerable Sun Sachi as well, he has about 1 million followers. And also many other people that are very kind. I could not mention all of them. But I would like to share one thing, for my final speech. Yeah, how simple it is to make people happy. That is happy chemical. What happens if you have this sort of act of kindness and generosity? Our body release oxytocin. Oxytocin is a chemical, happy chemical or love chemical to give us happiness. Therefore, please donate generously to make you happy, make other people happy as well. Thank you so much.
Evangelical Church in Australia, Melbourne. Just a few words. Our church was established about 40 years ago, located in Footray, with a congregation of about 200 people, predominantly Vietnamese, but we also have the people from diverse background come to our church from time to time, like Italian, Greek, Korean. Yeah. The main mission of our church is to bring the gospel and God's love to the Vietnamese community living in the Western Melbourne. But in addition, we also try to share God's love in a practical way from time to time. Our church have our own program to provide gift and support to the Christian church and the community in the rural and poor areas of Vietnam. But when we come to support and provide relief to the victims who suffer natural disaster in Australia, and then we go through Salvation Army. So we contribute through Salvation Army because we know for sure that our fund will reach to the needed victim. So at this time we would like to thank you Salvation Army, and in particular to Lieutenant Colonel Samuel Ford for providing us with the opportunity to be partner in helping the Australian community in need. Okay, thank you.
To 10 different associations and collaborations. So would like to invite Major Bruce Hammer back onto the stage to present the next 10 certificates, associations as well. So first up, we'd like to welcome Springvale Asian Business Association. Next up we have Hakka Association. Next one is Chin Lian Chinese Association. Next up we've got Chiu Chiu Chinese Association. We'll try that again. Australian Asian TV Association. Next we have Springvale Chinese Ethnic School. We have is Bright Moon Buddhist Society. I'll get Springvale Chinese Ethnic School alumni again. Thank you. And finally, we've got Cambodian Chinese Association. Do you want to all stand together for a group photo? Thank you. And we might just get Hakka Association representative to say a few words. Thank you so much.
Associations to the Springvale Asian Business Association. I think Daniel Cheng and Tom, the group, and Lian Wong did a lot of work bringing us all together. I think it's a good united effort, and I think one of the benefits is also for us to get to know each other among the communities in Springvale itself. So I thank you again to Lian especially, who did a lot of running around in those days, that bring us all together. And also for the Salvation Army, for organizing this event. And thank you, good evening.
From 2016 to 2018, the Chinese corporate and philanthropic community has reached out to many multicultural communities and raised more than $100,000 donations. We will have Major Bruce Hammer to present appreciation certificate to committee members. May I invite Mr. Wilkin Fong, Mr. Bruce Wong, Mr. Simon Fong on stage.
It had been a real pleasure and honor to serve as the inaugural chairman of the Chinese Corporate and Philanthropic Committee. It's actually, it's quite an eye-opener for me because me and my fellow committee members had the chance to actually see a lot of the services that the Salvation Army actually provided, and we were deeply touched. And we managed to have a lot of fun in between. So I hope that everybody who has got the opportunity to have the chance to do the same thing for the Salvation Army. Thank you very much.
All right, on to our next item. We now have an appreciation certificate presentation to 12 individuals who have made a significant contribution to the digital door knock during the global pandemic. So I'd like to invite 12 individuals. We can save the applause right to the end. I'd like to invite Jennifer Yang, Bruce Wong, Richard Lim, Boswin Wong, Ving Leong, Stephen Yin, Philip Tan, Stella Lee, Agnes Sinith Sa, Rafina Chan, and Daniel Cheng. And you can just stay. And just a big round of applause. Jennifer Yang is the former mayor of Manningham. She's currently representing the Labor Party, and she made a very big contribution and was a top 2 nationally for the multicultural team. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you. I'm very, very mindful about the time, so just be very, very brief. I'm very honored to be part of this multicultural digital door knock team back in 2020. And on behalf of our group, I want to say thank you and really appreciate the Salvation Army's leadership back in 2020. When the nation was suddenly hit by the pandemic, many businesses closed down, many people lost jobs. And we know back then, so many people struggling to put food on the table. And most importantly, many people couldn't find a safe place to stay. In recognition of that struggling among the community, the great need of the community, I thank the Salvation Army, their leadership, to take out this initiative to change the face-to-face door knock to the digital door knock. And I also want to thank all those people, those members on the stage before. They really put themselves forward, take out challenges, and work very hard among their network, their communities to do this fundraiser. And on behalf of my group of the people, I also want to say thank you to our friends. Thanks them to entrust us. Thanks them in response to that, to our call by their generous donations. And today, 2 years after the pandemic, the challenges we faced is even greater. And again, we just want to say thank you to Salvation Army. Thanks for them to provide such great support and services to our local community in the past over 140 years. And I hope I can see so many community leaders in this room. I hope everyone can reach out to your network. I hope everyone here to put your hands up to participate into this year, the racial appeal this year. I hope next year we can come back here again for another successful celebration for this year's fundraising efforts. And thank you again for the great presentation before. Let us understand how many the services you tailed to really meet the diverse needs among our communities. So finally, thanks again for having me here, and together I'm sure we can make a real difference to our community. Thank you.
We have a special guest coming to share with us by the name of Mr. Apologies if I pronounce it wrong, Bu Tai, who's the Vice Chairman of the Victorian Multicultural Commission, on behalf of Vivian Nguyen.
I would also like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians upon the land which we are gathered here today, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. My name is Boyke, and I'm standing in on behalf of Viv. Unfortunately, due to family emergency, she had to leave. But I thought I'll take this opportunity to share with you very, very briefly the important work that the Salvation Army has been doing. But before I say that, I just want to acknowledge that this evening we have so many dignitaries, community champions, government representatives from federal, state, and local government, 3 levels, and it is a testimony of the amazing work that the Salvos has been doing for our communities. I also want to acknowledge all our community champions who are here, who have been very generous, working behind the scene to make sure that the effort that the Salvos are doing goes that extra mile. I want to thank the team from the Salvation Army who had presented here. They had given you a brief of what projects they are running, and I thought I'll share with you that I was one of the recipients of those programs. I came here in 2009 as a refugee migrant with my wife Corey. We had $1.80 in our pocket, and it was through the Salvation Army's work that I proudly can say that we were supported, not knowing any family here, no relatives. We were very lost, but there was one family here with us, and that the Salvation Army was there to support us in that initial phase, and that gave us hope. And that is the theme about tonight. It's about giving people hope. And my journey is like many other refugee journeys, like Councillor Richard Lim, Brother Bruce Wong, and many others who have come to this country as refugees and are now able to give back because we have given them a second chance in life, a hope, something to look forward. And so I want to thank you all, and I want to encourage our community leaders. Please continue to do the amazing work you do so that the Salvos Red Shield Appeal can continue to serve the most vulnerable community members in our society. I truly believe that we are all special. We all can make a difference. And if someone like myself, who came here with nothing, is now able to serve our multicultural communities, through the work you do, you're touching the lives of thousands of our fellow Australians. So thank you, but also please continue to do the great work. Thank you very much.
今日咧 Richard Lim 先生咧就率先打頭陣，就幫我哋咧捐出11000元嘅。咁我哋俾啲掌聲 Richard Lim 先生。
So this is another $5,000.
I am delighted to be here, and I'm very touched to see so many people with all walks of life in support for the Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal Multicultural Launch 2022. For those who don't know me, my name is Bruce Wong, and I'm a former refugee. I quote a couple of phrases from the Bible. For nothing is impossible with God. And apart from God, I can do nothing. Over many years, I thank God for giving me the opportunity to contribute financially and in person to the services provided by the Salvation Army to make a difference in the lives of our vulnerable community members. I have always been a strong supporter, both in my personal capacity as well as through my business Food Solution, to participate and contribute towards the Red Shield Appeal. I truly believe we all can play a role to empower and give hope to those who need our support. I encourage business leaders, community leaders, and members of the community to join me in this worthwhile endeavor. Thank you, and God bless you all.
there was 20 different language groups here, I think, tonight. So I wanted to just say this in every language, but I recognise that it's going to take me way too long to practice. So we've got a couple of people, I think, that we're going to just throw around to say this little phrase. Can we put that up again on the wall again, please?
From here, we'd like to invite 12 people from different countries and nationalities to come up on the stage. We've got Richard, Bon, Stephen, Samantha, Choi, Dilpreet, Santi, Robert, Wilkin, and Tihad, Palmer, and Man. So if you'd like to come up and represent your countries and speak in your own language, that would be awesome. Thanks, guys.
Well, Richard, you go. I think it's really just please support the Salvation Army. Thank you for your support, and please continue to support us. Richard, what's that in Cambodian?
Cambodian, all right? It's all right, not much different. My name is Richard Lim. I speak in Cambodian language. So, Bong Ojek and Oknia, Meta Chui Control Salvation Army, Red Shield Appeal. So, Bong Ojek Chui Opatom Salvation Army, Dabay Salvation Army, Lata Pip Chui Donak Kray Krorong Kruh, Nang Apok, Nong Chibet, So Bakun.
My name is Hyung Choi. I speak Korean. 구세군 Red Shield 어필에 많은 도움과 후원을 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다. Thank you.
My name is Wilkin and I will be speaking in Cantonese 普通廣東話。請大家大解善忘，就支持救世軍呢個慈善紅盾嘅活動，等救世軍可以幫助有需要嘅人。多謝。
Hi, my name is Ted and I speak Tagalog. Tulungan at suportahan po natin ang Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal. Tulungan po natin ang Salvation Army para maituloy nila ang pagtutulong nila sa mga nangangailangan. Salamat po.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm from Sri Lanka and I speak Sinhalese. Salvation Army Red Appeal එකට සහාය දෙන්න ඒගොල්ලොන් තුලින් අනික් අයට උදව් කරන්න අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වන්න. බොහොම ස්තුතියි. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Santi Whiteside. I will speak in Bahasa Indonesian language. Mohon dukungannya untuk Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal dan tolong bantu Salvation Army untuk membantu orang lain atau sesama. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Stephen Lim and I will speak in Malay. Jom kita memberi sokongan kepada Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal. Jom kita bantu Salvation Army untuk memberi bantuan kepada orang-orang dalam keperluan. Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Robert. I speak Burmese. မင်္ဂလာပါကျေးဇူးပြုပြီးတော့ Salvation Army ရဲ့ Red Shield Appeal ကိုထောက်ခံပေးကြပါလိုအပ်တဲ့လူတွေကိုကူညီဖို့အတွက် Salvation Army ကိုကျေးဇူးပြုပြီးကူညီပေးကြပါကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ် Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Min. I speak in Mandarin. 希望大家支持救世军红盾捐助计划。希望大家通过救世军帮助其他需要帮助的人。谢谢。
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Biha. I speak Vietnamese. Kính thưa quý vị, tôi tên là Bé Hà. Tôi nói tiếng Việt. Rất mong quý vị hợp tác và đồng hành với Salvation Army trong các buổi gây quỹ. Xin quý vị hỗ trợ và đóng góp để Salvation Army tiếp tục giúp tất cả những người khác rất cần sự giúp đỡ. Thank you. Chân thành cảm ơn quý vị.
Namaste. My name is Dilpreet and I will be speaking in Hindi. कृपया सल्वेशन आर्मी की रेड शील्ड अपील की सहायता करें. कृपया सल्वेशन आर्मी की सहायता करें ताकि वो दूसरों की मदद कर सके. धन्यवाद.
Hello, my name is Param Jaswal and I speak in Punjabi. कृपया करके सल्वेशन आर्मी की सहायता करो. सल्वेशन आर्मी की मदद करो ताकि वो दूसरे की मदद कर सके. धन्यवाद. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Give them all a round of applause. It was great seeing all the different attires from the guests. Guys, thank you all for coming tonight, and on behalf of the Salvos, I'd like to really acknowledge all of you here tonight. Feel free to enjoy the final refreshments at the back. There's going to be auctions, donation cards at the foyer, so if the volunteers can hand those out. Thank you, everyone.
谢谢大家支持我们今天的活动，我们很高兴可以见到大家，谢谢你们的参与。我们预备了茶点，也希望大家可以支持今天晚上我们的茶叶慈善拍卖和华座慈善拍卖。然后我们请大家登记做義工和把 donation 卡交給我們的義工。
好多謝大家咧參與同埋支持。大會咧喺外面嘅廳方人嗰度咧已經預備咗茶點，歡迎大家咧稍而逐步到外面去享用喎。同時咧都有慈善拍賣會，所以大家多多支持。咁今晚嘅茶葉慈善拍賣同埋畫作慈善拍賣咧，記得好好地參加喎。同埋咧記得交捐款卡俾在場嘅義工。歡迎登記成為救世軍義工，多謝咁多位。